All right, welcome back. Here is our next question. And with me is Cristina Moise, Master Trainer of NLP, and a big expert in parenting because she's got 2 kids she's dealing with. Plus, she worked a lot with small and teenage children. And so she's got a direct hand into the application of the NLP techniques and timeline therapy techniques, especially in emotional situations with young people. And without further ado, Cristina, are you ready for the next question?
Absolutely, Adriana.
All right, it says, I can use advice with my almost 7-year-old. She's a good kid, but she's often very active. Lucky parent, I would say. Healthy child, no, that's my job. Very moody and very independent. It has its pros and cons. Her doctor and I are discussing ADHD too. However, what I really need advice on is how to react when she is verbally rude. Like this morning, we were late for school and I was trying to get her to put her shoes on and get out the door, and she's angry at me because she wants to keep playing and saying things like, you are such a boring mom today. Get out of my room. And ignoring and walking away from me a lot. Other days, it's things like, you don't get to tell me what to do. You're so mean. You don't have to, I don't have to listen to you. This whole house sucks. I'm just not sure what my response to that should be. It's not like I'm shouting or having an angry tone or I'm grabbing things from her. I overemphasize with her and try to make it fun, and she's just a buzzkill. I don't know whether to ignore it and keep going, stop the presses and address it. Is there a natural consequence for this? So that's the question. And the end is an ETC, so I'm not sure what the ETC means, but so what would have been further in this? But anyway, let's do our best and answer this question.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it's a 7-year-old child, right? 7-year-old child. It's highly operating from the unconscious mind, right? Now, when it comes to ADHD, I will just start with that first. And I would say that oftentimes, and nowadays, parents, they just want to get a quick answer for everything their child is doing. And if they have a label and they have a prescription, they think they have it solved. And if they know it's ADHD, then I know what it is. And I can get that. As a mother, you really, you think there's something wrong with your child, and you immediately need to know what is wrong with your child so that you fix it. So I get it, because you're protective, you got to be nurturing, you got to take care of your kids. And jumping into putting a label such as ADHD, and I read some statistics saying that moreover that 10% of kids are easily labeled as ADHD just because, and it's more boys that get the label than girls, because they're active, because they're running around, because they're loud, because they make noise. But
that used to be called being a kid.
Let me ask you this. What is a kid supposed to be doing? Isn't this what a kid should be like? Like running around, be loud, playing and having fun and being active. It's so funny, Adriana, how these days you have on the one side the parents who complain that their kids spend too much time on the tablets or the phones and they wish they were outside playing. And on the other hand, you have the parents whose kids are very active and very spontaneous and loud, and they complain about that. And maybe they could swap children and that will fix everyone's problem.
Oh, that's funny.
That's not a solution. Because,
no, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, it's just a joke. Don't, do that. But the child they have a lot of energy. They explore the world through their playing. And just jumping and putting the label of ADHD onto them just because they're like that, I think that would be not necessarily the right.
But in NLP, we have what's called the learning state. We teach the child how to stop that disruptive behavior. Because I can see how in a classroom situation, for instance, a child that jumps around all the time, and it could be disruptive. So that's also not okay and not positive also for the child or for the environment. But again, not being medical doctors and not being psychologists, psychiatrists, or counselors or any of this, based on the feedback given by the parents, just by teaching the child what we call the learning state and the ability to remember visually, which we call the spelling strategy and all this, number one, gets rid of that behavior. Number two, increases grades. Number three, increases memorization and recall of the information they learn. So there are solutions that don't require a label, ADHD, and
Yeah, because once you label the kid like that, it's like you put them into a box and then you
yes,
start treating them a certain way and you cut them out of a lot of options and you cut out their potential. It's like you're putting a ceiling onto how much they can grow and what they can do in life. And for them as well can be quite traumatizing, I would even say, to know that, hey, I have ADHD. Well, it
oh
sounds,
yeah, there are consequences. I worked with adults that, number one, they knew they couldn't possibly succeed because they were labeled ADHD.
yeah.
What if that label was nothing but a label? What if it's not true? And then they spend their life not even trying because they have the belief that, well, I have this. Number two, it becomes a secondary gain. You have to help me because I have ADHD, I'm not capable. I've seen this. I had a client like this. Who played everybody in their family. They were now married with their own family, and everybody in the family played this game because I have ADHD. You have to do this for me, in other words, because I'm the one that's disabled, which was just a game of secondary gain, what we call.
Yeah, it becomes a very good excuse
Yep.
later in life. And it's funny, in one of the trainings, I once had a lady, and she said, well, I want to join this training because I have dyslexia and I want to let go of this. And I said, well, the training will definitely help you with that.
Right.
And I said, but how do you know you have dyslexia? And she said, well, I was in the car with my daughter and I told her to turn left, and actually she was supposed to turn right. And then my daughter asked me what's wrong with me, and then we looked it up on the internet, and this is how I'm
Uh-huh.
dyslexic. So first of all, it's not on the internet that you will find your answer. And second of all, I don't know about you, Adriana, but I believe women, I mean, I do this all the time when I'm in the car.
That's why I'm laughing. That's why I burst out laughing. I used to walk with my mom on the street, and she would say turn right, and we would go like this. And then she would say turn left, and we would go like this. I used to do this all the time. So
Yeah,
now, okay, probably today I would have been labeled dyslexic. Oh well, I managed pretty well to drive right or left where I need to.
doesn't mean you're dyslexic, or if you're active doesn't necessarily, but people do what we call in NLP these complex equivalences. They take something, a certain behavior, and the child being very active and loud and playful means that they have ADHD and that there's something wrong with them. What if it
Right.
means something else?
Yep.
Just whatever diagnoses or labels are out there, start challenging them. I mean, be curious. And because oftentimes people would go and say, hey, it's the doctor of my daughter who said that, and it's like the ultimate authority. Well, go and check some other opinions from other fields as well, or, some other parents. And
But at
be,
least get information and inform yourself of other possibilities to deal
exactly.
with that. Because there is more than one way to solve a problem. And again, without being a medical doctor, I can say for sure that based on my experience, is 30 some, almost 30 years of this. But also what's more important, the experience of all the graduates that have become trainers and work with people, all the coaches that work one-on-one with people. The response is the same. the solution is not only one and one thing for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a skill that I learned again as a mother, because once you have a child with a problem, there is this, "Oh, let me go to the doctor, whatever the doctor
Of
says,
course.
that's it." But then I learned, hey, let me ask some other people, check for their opinions, inform myself before jumping into conclusions and
Yes.
labeling
Yes.
them one way or another. And maybe there are other possibilities. And I'm just giving you a silly example, but it's part of every mother's life. Like when the child gets sick, they have a fever, right? When you go to, I mean, it's your first child. I mean, fever when you were a child, maybe, I don't know what it was. What were the treatments? I don't remember. I mean, I
For
kind of,
me, it was very simple. I was very happy, and I was praying that I still have a fear because I didn't have to go to school. And I could stay in bed and play and get hot soup. And my
yeah,
mom was checking my temperature so that it's not too high. And I
yeah.
was slipping it over and having a little temperature, for a couple of days. And then I would get better, and then I would get sad because I would have to go back to school.
Exactly. Now my daughter has for her first cold. It was like a big catastrophe. Like I couldn't go to
Sure,
work.
because you're worried. You don't know. It's a baby. You never had a baby before. Of
And you panic. I mean, are there going to be complications? And it has
course.
high, and the doctor gives you anti-thermals, right? And you give it to them. And I remember then I learned that this is how it goes with kids. They get colds and so on. But then I started like, because one time I remember coming home from the doctor with my daughter, and she indeed had a cold, but I was like having like 16 medicines, and how do I give it all to her? When, how, what mix, before, after dinner? And it was very complicated. So I started to, and studying with you, meta medicine, and so on. And then I learned that actually high fever, it's an absolutely normal process in the body when there's some healing, going on. And if we come up with like antithermals or something, we might actually do more damage than good. So I said,
Yeah,
okay,
again, let's put the disclaimer in. Neither you nor I are medical doctors, and don't take what we're saying as a medical advice. Do not construe it in any form or shape, because there are other things that we're talking about, and only as information only. They are medical doctors that are considered renegades in the official field of medicine that even use fever as a method of healing, and this is happening in Germany, by the way. So there are other views. So what we're talking about here is just out of the box information. Please understand, if your child's sick, go and consult a licensed medical practitioner, somebody you trust, and somebody who knows how to advise you. But just as an aside, there are other ways of looking at it. So
yeah.
I had to put a disclaimer in, Cristina. This is very important.
Adriana, because again, it takes a lot of, I mean, you're the mother of the child. It's the
Yeah.
child's, right?
Yes.
And but when my son had a cold that was not so serious and he had a fever, I said, okay, let me try out this thing that they said, which is just have them, no, just the diaper on, no clothes on, and have the body regulate the temperature by itself. And it worked. Sometimes it did, sometimes it didn't. So I it's a matter of, learning and seeing things differently and being willing to do things,
I
differently.
think, in this situation, there are also what we call alternative practitioners, natural practitioners that can advise a young mother who has, let's say it's somebody that has no clue. I mean, I have researched a lot. I have a lot under my belt. You have researched. There are many people who have, but a young mother, especially if it's for her first child, as you described, what do you know? You don't know anything.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know
You do
nothing.
to.
So probably the best is to still work with an enlightened alternative practitioner if this is what you want. Yeah, they're doctors of which they're called now. What they're called not alternative. that very not complementary there is that approach is holistic, but it's going to come to me in a moment. Anyway, so still trained, highly trained practitioners in medicine, but they may have other views, because see, again, coming back to fever, we're not advocating that, out of control fever is okay, because it's not. But if it's just a little bit of fever, then you monitor very carefully, and that's, a medical practitioner can advise you. What's that limit that you need to take care of? But I can see how a young mother, I can only imagine, what you didn't know what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And at some point, you realize that some of the things you were doing stopped working at some point in time, right? So you gotta experiment with something else. You gotta go look for alternative ways. And yeah, that's why,
Functional medicine, it's called functional medicine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because for a mother, especially if she's working and the child is sick and she cannot go to work, I remember I was spending the nights doing, aerosols with my son, doing the treatment at night, so that at night, during the night, waking up even when he was 2.5, 3 years old, so that I could go to work during the day. And then
It's
I wonder,
exhausting.
yeah, and then you start questioning and challenging in a good way. I mean, is this the only way? I mean, as I was a child, I don't remember my mother doing this and we were just fine. Is there some better way? And ask yourself, always as a mother, is there a better way? Is there something that can be different and that can help?
See, one thing that in general, and this is a bigger picture, because we learned that we want everything fast, we want everything now. So we translate that also into healing. I want my child to get better tomorrow. Well, if you follow a natural process, to call it natural, yeah? So another way but pills, well, it may take 3-4 days. It won't happen overnight. It's like even us adults, we do the same thing. I have a headache, I'm reaching over, taking a headache pill, and hope that the pain will go away immediately, because I want it gone now, yesterday if possible, right? So our patience and we got used to everything fast, everything now, everything immediate. That's one of the main differences between the natural forms of healing, naturopathy, holistic approaches, and so on and so forth, and, the pills. Now, there are consequences for the pills. That's why, if you're not trained and if you don't know, look for an alternative view, because you just mentioned in one of the previous answers, there is not a one only way, isn't it? So,
and I learned this with my daughter, as you said. I mean, I thought that if I catch her colds early on and come up with medicine, then it would instantly go away and it will not happen. But there is a natural process that needs to happen, and it will happen either way, whether you like it or not. So
right.
better make yourself familiar with that and come from that perspective.
But this links again a little bit into, we understand very well how suggestions and hypnosis and trance works. I was in Vegas and I experienced this winter after winter after winter after winter. Here it is, everything's fine. Yeah, people get colds, when they change seasons, because they still wear the summer clothes and all of a sudden the temperature drops they catch colds. The body catches a cold, gets cold. That is literal what's happening. But then, miraculously, it's cold and flu season, right? And this gets, broadcasted over and over and over and over again with the related commercials, right? And all of a sudden people go, it's cold and flu season. And the cases increase, like they go just like this. If you look at the statistics, once it's announced that's cold and flu season, people get sick. And that's again, power of until yesterday, I didn't know that it's cold and flu. My nose was running and I sneezed a few times. Nowadays, it's, oh my God, I sneezed a few times, it's a disaster. Well, I sneezed a few times, okay, I'll put warmer clothes, drink some hot tea, and I get over it, right? But until I've been told that it's cold and flu season, I didn't even think of being sick. Oh, now I know I'm sick. You know how it works? And it's so easy.
It's true. We're highly suggestible, and
Yes, we are.
we suggest ourselves and we suggest our kids with everything we're saying, especially as they're little sponges, little unconscious minds roaming around. So the most preventive and the easiest and free of any cost way to keep your child, safe and healthy is to give them positive suggestions like your body is healthy. You're in perfect health, you're in balance, you have energy whenever you need it. You're powerful, you're confident, speaking of other, because we spoke earlier about self-esteem and confidence. I kid you not, I'm giving these suggestions to kids, not only my kids, but kids in kindergarten. And like all of a sudden, I feel like, oh, I'm like Superman and I'm gonna get this and I'm super confident. And their parents come and say, oh, my child is so confident all of a sudden. Of course, if you give them good suggestions, they
Yes.
will actualize those.
You can give them suggestions for health as well.
Exactly, exactly. So if you give a child a suggestion that they have ADHD, they have no idea on this planet what it means. But if the
Right.
mom says so, it must be important. So uh,
Sure.
they will create it, they will make it happen. So
Who are they going to trust? Who are they
exactly.
going to trust? First, they trust the parents, right?
And just to touch
And
base
when
on
they grow up and they become teenagers, they trust their friends online. That's a joke, but it happens.
I could these days, kids is like when they have a question, whatever the question is, school related, non-school related, Chat GPT is the place to go.
I know, I don't want to get into that one now. I have a lot to say there because there are dangers and there are unforeseen circumstances when, I mean, ChatGPT and all, that's just an example, but it's Grok and it's all the other long language models, right? They are fantastic for gathering facts. You still need to verify because sometimes they make up stuff, right? But if they are not constructed to put your line and ask, life there and ask for advice.
Yeah.
They're not. And I think if, we want to, I have to think I might have to do a series on this one because these are real problems that parents encounter right now.
And actually, even as parents, when we said earlier, go and inform yourself, ask
Right.
for information, don't ask just Chat GPT.
No.
Ask real professionals, verify your sources, people who have really done the things you're asking about, real people. And that's really important. And that's what I wanted to add. And going back to the ladies, this mother's or this parent's question about the first part, I remember it was about ADHD. So to summarize everything we've
Right.
said is so don't just your child is a normal active child, be thankful, and maybe it's showing you how to be playful in your life as well, so take that as a positive sign, and inform yourself on the labels or diagnosis before just accepting it
I
and
would
take.
also say get in touch with somebody who's trained, a good coach, to teach
Yeah.
your child. By the way, it takes 1 to 2 hours maximum. I usually made 2 hours appointments. I get done within 1 hour. Yeah, there is, and have the parent and you be there with your child. Yeah, and so learn the child should learn what's called the learning state, and simply all the destructive behavior will go away. I think there are other ways. As a non-medical doctor, again, it's your decision. You just take this only as information, but there are other ways to deal with your child's behavior. My opinion, and it's just my opinion, yeah, so I'm just saying it this way. Usually we take the brightest and more energetic children because the problem is not the child, the problem is the teacher. I cannot deal with that child, right? Well, maybe it's about your skill as a teacher, not the child that's the problem. Because it's very easy to, teach a bunch of kids that are like this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but is this what you want a child to be? I don't know. Anyway, we are out of the box thinkers. But one of the things is sure there are other ways that you can deal with this, and that's get a hold on a good coach that's trained in NLP and in turn and therapy, and somehow miraculously your child behaviors will change into positive.
Absolutely.
So many testimonies for parents that learn how to do this, yeah. Or you can learn this to do yourself, either one, doesn't matter. Anyway, Cristina, okay, that's great. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to your questions. If you have more questions in the future, just shoot them over and we'll do our best to give you our best thoughts and have these conversations. Thank you, Cristina. Have a great day.